Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. I'm Sarah Jane. This is Gift of Healing TV and the second part of our series, Life Mastery with David McLeod. David, thank you for joining us again this month. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
And yes, thank you, Sarah. It's good to see you again. It's always fun for you and me to connect.
Yeah.
And hello, everybody.
Actually, I was thinking about it today. Do you know it is 5 years since we did that course with Rachel Jane and Data Groover?
Oh my God!
Five years ago this month.
You know, that's right. Now that you mention it, yeah, that was in Colorado, right? Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, folks, yes, David and I have known each other a few years. Different countries, but we've definitely been very much in touch over those 5 years as well. Known each other a bit longer than that. So our program this evening, Life Mastery.
Life Mastery Way.
The Life Mastery Way.
Yeah.
The 2 infuriating questions. Okay. What are they?
Well, that's a great question. That's a great way to get us started. Well, let me put it to you this way. One of the things that I teach people when I'm working with them is the subject of awareness. I think awareness is one of the most important skills that we can learn and master. And awareness is the starting point for everything. So one of the first questions I have people ask themselves is, where am I? Now, where am I sounds kind of gentle and unobtrusive, but it's a great thing to start with because you can look and say, well, I'm in this room. I'm surrounded by these beautiful cabinets. Internally, I'm feeling very relaxed and calm. Now, yeah, that may not be true for you, but when you start with that question, where am I? And get a sense of your bearings and your location and your position in the world, then you can begin to know, well, where do I want to go? If you start with where do I want to go first, and you have no idea where you are, then picking a direction and going in some direction may lead you absolutely nowhere. Okay? So these are 2, I don't call these annoying questions, by the way. These are just great questions to help me become aware. Okay, now you want to know what are the 2 most annoying questions. Well, I think that the first one of these is one that we all ask ourselves, and that is, why am I here? What is the purpose of life? What is the point to everything? I just don't get it. And that's annoying because we don't always get the answers that we want, especially when we ask the questions with a kind of a, well, shall I say, a whining attitude, Why am I here? Now, if I can say it with genuine curiosity, why am I here? Then I may begin to get some answers. And the why I'm here thing I might come up with initially, well, I'm here to raise some children and build a family. Well, okay, that might be part of the purpose. Is that the whole purpose, though? Mm-hmm. Why am I here? So what happens is this question triggers a whole bunch of other questions, and it brings up answers which may or may not be very satisfying. And in fact, the answers might lead to other questions. Mm-hmm. And why that is such an irritation is because we haven't asked the most important question. And what I know, Sarah Jane, and you've probably experienced this too, most people really have no idea who they really are. People have this story in their head. Oh, I'm David. Oh, I'm a man. Oh, I'm a fighter pilot. Oh, I'm a software engineer. All these roles and labels and things that we do come up, and we identify with them. I am this, I am that. But if you do something, and this is a great activity that anybody can do, it's what I call the repeated question game. If you pair up with somebody, this is the best way to do it. You have a partner, and that partner is simply going to ask you the question, who are you? And each time you give an answer, you're going to give it as quick and as concise and as truthful in the moment as you can. Your partner then will say, thank you, and hopefully will change intonation, tonality, voice stuff, and might say, who are you? And that helps you to go a little bit deeper. And after a while, if you do this for about 5 minutes, you begin to understand, well, okay, the things I said at the beginning were true in the moment, but I see that those are just layers. They're just labels. They're just roles that I play. They're thoughts that I have. They're stories that I make up. And if none of those are really true, then who am I? And that's when some amazing things can happen. If you get down to the depth and you begin to understand that you aren't any of those things that you thought you were, but rather you're something much more expansive and beautiful and magnificent, far less limited than you ever thought before. That's when things start to open up. And when you get some clarity, you get down to that point of where you know for sure who you really are, then guess what? The other question, the one that we also ask, why am I here, suddenly starts to have some meaning. When I know who I am, then it's much easier for me to know why I'm here. And on top of that, the other question that I started with, the where am I, begins to take on whole new meaning now. Because I am here where I am because of who I am and why I'm here. Yeah, I may be bouncing around and getting lost from time to time in my journey. And so it's useful to stop, take a breath, look around, and just regain a full sense of awareness. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. So I want to try and, that's how I do. I was looking for how it got me back. Oh, I so get that. I remember hearing people say, I know who I am, and thinking, how the heck can you? I just could not grasp how anybody could know who they were. And to, yes, it's so empowering. I suppose the simplest way to me is stop worrying about what other people think. Just be who you are, whatever that action reaction is in the moment. Don't try and think about, oh, if I do that, will they like me? If you, oh, I better do that for them, then they might like me. And all these things. I spent nearly 40 years of my life trying to be a people pleaser with absolutely no idea who I was. And if somebody was just, how many people, especially mothers with children, somebody comes up to them at the school and they'll say, hi, I'm so-and-so's mum.
Yeah, right.
Or I'm so-and-so's dad.
Yeah,
or I'm so-and-so's wife, or I'm so-and-so's husband. Yep. How many people introduce themselves as an appendage?
Right.
Or as their job, which is what you were saying. And we are none of those things. We are, you see, to me, I am Sarah, or Sarah Jane, whichever. That is who I am. I am me. And everything else that goes with that, whatever that may be for me in that moment in time, as you said, and in that moment in time. And I think that's the important thing, is people helping themselves. Actually, one of the most annoying questions that kept being asked to me was, well, what do you want to do then? And I think that comes down also to knowing who you are and getting an understanding for why you're here. But to me, never thinking you've wasted time. every experience, every job you've done, every experience you've had is totally been worth having, because it will serve a purpose when you discover who, how, and why.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's interesting. I mean, I don't even believe in the fact that I am my name. My name is just a label that I use so that you know who you're talking to when
Yeah.
you refer to me. That's how I see it. I mean, I have done a lot of work on this, and what I see now, and this may sound like a grandiose vision. And frankly, I don't care if that's how it sounds. But what I believe is I am a magnificent divine spiritual being of light and love. And I just happen to be sharing this human experience with everybody else on this planet. That's how I see myself now. And even that is a somewhat limiting description of who I really am.
Yeah.
Because it implies, well, maybe if you're divine and magnificent and spiritual, then you're not physical, you know? You see what I'm saying? The moment we put a label, we imply certain limitations.
Yeah.
And that's just a problem with language.
Yes.
So I try to choose words very, very carefully that express what I believe is my truth in the moment.
Oh, and it is about words. I find words, so easy. You know what you mean, but what people hear is where they are in their life at that point in time. Yeah. Every single one of us is that magnificent being, that soul of pure love, a spiritual being having a physical experience.
Exactly.
And we do not need to grow our bodies to fit our soul.
Yeah, it's the other way around. Unfortunately, we imagine our souls inhabiting our bodies. But I think it's the other way around. I think our souls are much, much bigger, and the body is just something that we carry around in order to have the physical experiences that we have here on this planet. So, I have my own peculiar way of seeing things, and sometimes people resonate with my thoughts, and sometimes they don't. I have some rousing good arguments with people at times.
No, they're called discussions. But I was actually given an amazing experience. Some years back, I was working with people with learning difficulties, and this one guy I took to the cinema once a month. His choice of film was not my choice of film. I mean, it really wasn't. He wanted to go and see all the nasty stuff and nothing humorous. It was just like, no wonder he was depressed. And it was just like, we tried encouraging him to go to something that was more lighthearted. But he chose this one film called Man Wolf. No, hang on. That wasn't Man Wolf. That was another experience I had. It was called District 9. And it was about aliens I think in South Africa. It doesn't really matter where it was. And because I actually tend to believe that there are aliens that actually live amongst us, because we all look very much alike, and the aliens have visited this planet time and time and time again, maybe not getting so easy for them now because of our technology, but I'm sure they have in the past. And it actually affected me greatly. It really did. I started feeling really unwell with how badly they were being treated. And I suppose it's just a reflection of how humans treat humans as well.
Right.
If you are not the same as me, I'm going to treat you differently. We're not all equal when we are all equal. But I came out of that cinema feeling so unwell. And as we stepped out of the actual cinema, things started to lighten. And I realized what had happened was because I was already very much on this journey. And what I realized had happened was, I think until we open up to ourselves, our soul, our spirit, is actually condensed within our physical body, is trapped. When we open up to ourselves, when we step back into ourselves, we can expand that. And what had happened was the expansion I had, I had been pushed back into my body. So in some way, I was being shown how far I'd come.
Mm-hmm. So it had a final positive result for you.
Absolutely. And I think that's what we have to look at. My reaction was, what was all this about? And it felt so right when that thought came to me. I have just been given an amazing experience of knowing, and as you said, we are not a physical body that contains our soul, our spirit. It is for our soul, our spirit, to actually encompass our physical body. And we are inside of that. And that is what I was shown. I was shown being crammed back into my physical self when I know that every single one of us is a vast being.
Yeah. How true. How true. You know, and it would be so nice if people could get connected to who they really are. Because I believe that that's the one cause of all the problems that we have in the earth right now. We are so busy trying to live up to someone else's expectations of who we're supposed to be, or how we're supposed to show up, or how we're supposed to fit in, or how we're supposed to be part of a society, that we've forgotten who we really are. And what happens is, and this is certainly true for me, I developed a lot of resentment, which internalized came out as anger. And what happened was that I was pissed off because I didn't get to be who I really was. Okay? And so you can imagine that anger comes out and it affects all the people in my life. Well, if all of us are doing that, if all of us are denying who we are, what kind of a world are we creating?
Yeah.
Well, I think the answer is self-evident. We can see what we're creating. Yeah. So what this takes is for people, and it starts with just folks like you and me, Sara Jane, to recognize who we really are and begin to express that and experience that fully, so that we can heal the wounds of the past and slowly but surely release all that resentment and anger, so that we can live in joy and peace and harmony. That's what it takes. It's a complete lifestyle change. Mm-hmm. And so this question that I've been talking about, who am I, is one of the most powerful questions you can ask. And I guarantee, I'm going to tell these people again, if you play this game with somebody, you'll find a partner and do it, and then switch roles partway through, and then just have a discussion afterwards about what it was like for you to go through that experience. I think you're going to begin to see yourself in a whole new way and start to recognize that you are much more beautiful and expansive and magnificent and wonderful and unlimited than you ever thought possible. And once you get there, everything else just kind of starts to make sense.
Oh, absolutely. We have got, I don't know whether it's Mila or Mila from San Jose is with us. So welcome. Lovely to have you with us. Any questions, folks, please do ask. Much appreciated. It is so about listening to your feelings, listening to your heart. And when somebody asks something of you, what is your true answer? Don't say yes because you think you've got to say yes. I saw a thing on Twitter or something today, and I wish I'd written it down. And it was on from Tiny Buddha on Twitter. That's what it was on. It's probably on Facebook, on their Facebook page as well. And it was something about, so that I lied. I said I was busy. And then it was something along the lines, I was busy relaxing. I was busy thinking about myself. I was busy. And it was all those things that we don't do for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I was busy giving me some time.
Yeah, yeah. That's, it's an interesting thing that you talk about. And I'm just going to go back a little bit to what you said earlier about being a people pleaser.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to make somebody else happy. I think that's a great thing to do. However, when you're doing it at the expense of your own truth and at the expense of your own authenticity, if you're doing it because you want to be liked or you're trying to get something from the other person, that's coming from shadow.
Yeah.
And that is not an authentic way of being.
No.
An authentic way of being would be to say, I would really like to take you out for dinner. Where would you like to go?
Yeah.
Not in your mind thinking, man, if I take Sara Jane out to dinner, maybe she will pair up with me for this event that I'm talking. Maybe I could use this dinner as a way of getting something for myself. Yeah. Now, in the background of my mind, I may be thinking that, and it may not even be conscious. But if that's what I'm doing, then I'm shortchanging myself and I'm shortchanging the person I want to make happy. I'm lying, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up. And it's very, very important that people understand that we're not asking you to start being nasty.
Oh, no.
We're not asking you to stop being nice.
No.
We're asking you to start being real and authentic and genuine. And if it really feels truthful in your heart, offer something to somebody, do it from your heart.
Yeah.
If it feels truthful to say, no, I don't really want to do that with you,
yeah,
be honest about it and say so.
But I think the other important thing is, if there's something you'd like somebody to do for you, just ask.
Sure.
Don't go round the houses about it. Don't feel you've put them into a situation where they have no choice but say yes. But what you could do is say, I'd like to ask a favor, or please could you help me out? Would you? And is there something I can do for you in exchange?
Mm-hmm.
Not, I'm going to take you out for a meal. Now I hope you feel you owe me. Because my sister Jackie and I have talked about this before, and she's had people do this to her. And she said, I know I've been guilty of it. We've all been guilty of it. If I do something for somebody, hopefully they will then do something for me. Why don't we just be honest and ask outright? Could you help me? Would you help me? And I am happy to do something for you in exchange if I can. Maybe you've got to add that if I can, because obviously if you've got an arrangement for something at the time they want the help, you've got to say, not on this occasion, but I will do something for you at some stage.
Right.
I'm happy to do an exchange.
Here's something. I want to just interrupt you here for a second, Sara Jane, because one thing I have learned, we've heard it said that it's better to give than to receive.
Yeah.
I actually think it's wrong. I think it's backwards. Yeah. It's better to receive than to give. So when you offer me something, if I don't receive it, if I refuse it, I am denying you the gift of giving.
Yeah.
So if you ask me for something, now I have the opportunity to give you something, and hopefully you can just receive it without expecting anything in return. This is what's cool about this kind of thing. So when someone asks me for help of any kind, I actually feel very honored. In the first place, it tells me that this person thinks I can do something to help. That's a nice feeling for me to have. But the second thing is, now I could get to interact with this person and provide some help, and I don't need anything in return. That was reward enough, you see?
Yeah.
So I would recommend, if you want to ask for something, simply ask for it.
Yeah.
If you're bartering, if you're doing something like bartering, then you're setting up a business exchange, which is fine, but that's a different kind of energy. When we're dealing with people one-on-one, sometimes it's just nice to say, hey, I'm having a bit of a problem here. Can you help me resolve this? And just leave it at that. So anyway, that's my spiel.
No, and you know, and this is what I love about doing these programs, is that it's great that people can come from different angles on things. It really is. Yeah, that I have been somebody, you know, that being people pleaser. The last thing I thought was anybody would ever want to do anything for me. Why would they want to do anything for me? So being able to graciously accept a compliment or somebody doing something for me. And it took, I think it was an angel card, and it was, let yourself receive. You get so much pleasure from giving to others. Allow others the pleasure of giving to you.
Right.
And that it was just something, it was such an eye opener. It was just that light bulb moment of, oh my God, why wouldn't I let people do something for me if they really want to?
Right.
Because we are that amazing being. All of us wish to help people, but I'm getting very strict with myself. I'm here to help people to help themselves. I'm not here to do it for anybody, because I can't do it for anybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The only person who can do the stuff we need to do is us. But it's people like you and me and so many others that are here to support you and help you to find the ways to do that for yourself. And that's what these programs are about.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what coaching is all about. And that's what I do. I call it life mastery coaching, because what I do is I work with people who are unhappy, disillusioned, or even angry about how their lives have shaped up. And what I do is I help them to find that purpose, that passion, and the peace as they reconstruct their lives into something that is really a true work of art. That's what I do with people.
Yeah.
But I don't build the life for them.
No.
I help them to create their own vision of the life, and then I help them to figure out what's stopping them from building it a certain way. I help them to find the support that they need in order to be able to find all the elements that will make this life work for them. That's what I do. And it's not me saying, hey, you got to do this. Although I will admit that I recommend that many of the tools that I teach are really important. If you want to master your life, and master your life in a very quick way and get really good results within a year or less, I think you need to learn these tools. Now, I could be wrong, but so far, that's what I see. And I see people getting results because they learn the tools and because they are beginning to understand who they really are. And when they understand who they really are, they have a good sense of their purpose and begin to make all of their decisions, their choices in relation to that purpose. Things just magically start getting better.
Yeah. And we can make suggestions to people of things we know have worked for us.
Yep.
What they choose to do with those suggestions. Don't give me advice. It's that simple. You tell me you're giving me advice, my back goes up and I don't listen.
Right.
I am really, really no good if I think somebody's trying to give me advice.
Right.
And I totally accept that about myself. I really do. And there are certain things within life with me that comes up and it's just like, whoa, no. That's because that's my reading. But advice is when I feel somebody is telling you what to do.
Exactly.
Advice isn't a gentle, do you know what? This has worked for me. Here's a suggestion for you. This is what worked for me. By all means, try it.
Yeah.
You're giving people a choice. When I am given choice, I am more likely to listen.
Right.
When I feel
and
like
that's a good point too. I mean, I often will create what I call a menu of options. You know, you're having this particular struggle. Well, here are some things that I've seen other people do and I've tried myself. For me personally, this one seemed to work the best, but there's these other options that might work for you.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is just simply do something because someone else tells you to do it. Now, with certain kinds of coaching, I think that maybe a little bit of directive action needs to take place. For example, if I were a running coach, that is, I was teaching someone how to run faster and better, I might notice that your running gait is kind of dysfunctional, and I might help you reconstruct your running gait so you can get a little bit longer stride and so on. In that case, I think it absolutely needs to be done that way. And I just tell the person, I said, if you don't do this, then you're going to continue running the way you're running right now. And the question I have for you is, are you satisfied with second place? Because that running gait is going to keep you in second place.
Yeah.
So people, you know, sometimes a coach has to kick butt, but I can do it lovingly and compassionately. So that's the thing that I like to try to do with people. The other thing is sometimes, and you kind of alluded to this, when my ego mind gets in the way, my ego is saying, oh, no, don't listen to him. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, the last time you listened to somebody with that kind of advice, this is what happened. Remember? Well, I'm here to keep you safe, so don't do it. And that's what happens. Our ego minds get into the act. So as a person who does coaching, when I see that kind of resistance coming up, I usually just pause and say, okay, tell me a little bit about this resistance. What is it about? Do you have a risk manager that's coming in and trying to take over for you? Is it a real risk or is it an imaginary risk? That's what I do with people. I help them get underneath these things so that at the very least, they are totally aware of their own limiting beliefs, their own shadows. I help them to gain awareness about it so that they can now make a more empowered and hopefully functional choice.
Oh, and it has to be about choice. It really does.
Yep.
When I was seeking help, at the time all of this started for me, sort of when I was coming out of the traumas of the broken jaw, and the lady I went to see, and she was a psychotherapist, and one day she said, "Here, take my advice. I'm not using it." And that's what we all do.
Uh-huh.
And those words have stuck with me. That was over 20 years ago. Those words have stuck with me.
Yeah,
and
it's a great line. I like it.
One of the things I am never going to do is tell people, here, why don't you try this? As in, this is a piece of advice. What I say is, I've experienced something similar. This is what worked for me. And I make it a suggestion from things that I have done myself. Now, occasionally when I find myself working with the vocal Reiki, I suddenly find myself saying something and I'm thinking, where the heck did that come from? And sometimes it's a sort of a message, not just for the individual I'm working for, but for me as well. Mm-hmm. And I accept that. I really do. One of those was actually that saying that I use, and you've heard me say, I am the love of my life. Mm-hmm. And that's what we should all be. And I suppose the first thing that we should all do in finding who we are is realize that it is okay. In fact, it is essential to love ourselves.
Absolutely.
The first love of our life should always be yourself. Mm-hmm. Always.
Very important. Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I think that this is something that we all know intrinsically and intuitively. I can't possibly love anybody else if I don't love myself first. It's, you know, and the Bible teaches that. Love your neighbor as yourself. I mean, many teachers before us have taught this principle and using their own words this way or that way. And I love what you say. I am the love of my life. That is one of the affirmations that I created. I put into my program, and it is like one of the top 30 or 40 affirmations that I create that I love. And speaking of which, by the way, I've decided to reactivate that program in a whole new way. So it's going to be an online weekly affirmation program that will be interactive. People will be able to, sign up for the program. They get the affirmation. They will get a video message. They will get an audio meditation that comes with it. And they'll also get a place in my website where they can make notes and keep track of their own. It's like a journaling experience, so that they can learn about how this affirmation really resonates with them, or they can learn how the affirmation, they're finding themselves in resistance to it, and what might they learn from that resistance. It's going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to bringing that out in the next 6 months or so.
Oh, excellent. Because actually with Facebook, because you used to send me the daily ones, I was on the list for that, and I was getting the daily ones, and I would always share them to Facebook. And Facebook does this, you shared this a year ago or 2 years ago, and they've been bringing those up on my page just recently, sort of some of them. So I've been sharing them again.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, no, because
so there's that. I mean, I just think that it's time to repurpose that energy. I put so much time and energy and love into that. I want people to have access to it in a different way. I want it to really activate their lives. And it's, I'm calling them now life mastery affirmations, because they are affirmations that help me to connect to the truth of who I am. Yeah. And as I connect deeper and deeper to the truth of who I am, even though there are multiple aspects of me at any given moment, what the beauty of that is, I get to see all of the amazing parts of myself, and I want everybody else to experience that too. So Life Mastery Affirmations, it's going to be coming available within the next 6 months. Meanwhile, this Life Mastery Way program that we've been talking about, that's going to be launched within the next 30 days. And so I'm really excited about that one too. And I just see what it creates in the world. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. So by the time we get round to next month's program, which is going to be on the 14th of March. Yes, I know there's a 5-week gaps, folks, because we had sort of planned on this program being next week, and then we realized it couldn't be for certain reasons. So that's why it's this week instead. And we're back to the sort of 4/5 week back on the 14th. And then the last one is on the 11th of April. So, and if you missed the first one, please, it's on the website, giftofhealingtv.com, on the catch-up pages under interviews. And I think actually, David, we did a program on affirmations, didn't we?
No, some time ago, yeah.
For one, we did. That is also on that same catch-up page, folks. I'm sure it's under interviews. Do go and check that out, so you can see that David's joined me on more than one occasion, which has been great, and sort of always happy to connect. And as I said, we've known each other for at least 5 years now.
It's about 7 years, I think. 2011, yeah. I believe we met.
So it's it's going back a while, and it's great. So please do catch up with that. This is also going to be on the catch-up page. All the programs are also on the YouTube channel, Gift of Healing TV YouTube channel as well. Go there and find them. I hope you'll think about signing, if you're not already signed up for the next two, as I said, 14th of March and 11th of April. Please do sign up for those as well. The next one is Bringing Our Dreams to Reality. So I look forward to that as well.
That subject.
I think you might have done. But it is about, in fact, while I was waiting for you, I've been thinking, because I write for an online magazine, and they have a topic And you've got a choice of cotton, explore, and treat. And I was thinking, okay, but it was about your life is an exploration. It's an adventure. It's about living your life and treating yourself. And I was thinking, well, what have I done with my life? And I know you're a helicopter pilot. I have flown a helicopter.
No, I was never a helicopter pilot.
You're never a helicopter pilot? Oh, you're a fighter pilot.
Fighter pilot.
Okay. I have flown a helicopter. I've abseiled off the water tower. I've done a zip wire. I've walked with wolves. I've climbed the 3 highest mountains in the UK. And I've got a long list here of things. And I was thinking, right, actually, because I went to Egypt for my 50th, I took myself to Egypt for my 50th, where I got to see dolphins and be in water with wild dolphins, where I went to Giza, where I got to ride a camel, stargazing in the desert. And it's just like, and actually it's my 60th coming up in April. And as a special gift for my 60th, it's not going to happen till June because of the weather. I am going to do a wing walk.
Wow.
It's all
you
booked.
are one badass woman.
But it's about living life.
Of course, yeah.
And it is, when you are looking to find yourself, it's, okay, what experiences do I want to have? What would I really like to experience in life?
That's pretty amazing, though, Sarah Jane. I think I'm very impressed. I didn't know they had dolphins in Egypt, though.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just trying to think which sea it was, but yeah, absolutely. And I did actually get to see the dolphins in the wild. I had an underwater camera and I took some photos underwater. And everybody said to me, I didn't think you got that close. Well, it obviously magnifies it because it looked as if I could have reached out and touched them. I couldn't. But it was just so amazing. I saw turtles. I saw a guitar ray. It was just amazing. I didn't go scuba diving because I'm not trained to, but it was my first experience of snorkeling. Nice. And it's just like, go out and experience life. And this can be the way of finding yourself, having these experiences. Absolutely. The zip wire was a couple of years ago, and I'd already abseiled off the water tower several years before. And I was thinking, no, I could do this. That's not a problem. And I got to the top, and it was just like, now I'd got to step off, and it was just like, And I thought, well, I haven't got any choice. I've got to go. It was great. There's one in Wales that apparently gets up to 100 miles an hour. Because it's a really long one. I'd really like to do that. That'd be something. But I would never bungee that on your 70th. Hopefully I'll do it before then. But I would never ever bungee jump. Yeah. No, that doesn't appeal to me at all. So I think, isn't it? What helps you to actually feel as if you're alive? Right. I'm going to leave that question open. I'm not going to answer it. Let the people who watch this think about that for themselves. Yeah. And I think a lot of the questions that we ask people, we don't actually need the answers. It's them that needs to answer it for themselves, totally, completely, and honestly. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Have you got any last thoughts before we actually close this one? Anything you want, because your bio is on the About Us page, so folks can go and read that. Your links to your websites and bits are also there, so you can go to the About Us page and you can find those as well. So is there anything you want to share other than asking people to join us next month? The only thing I would like to close with is I'd like you to just understand that you are an amazing, really unlimited being of light and love. And you have the opportunity, if you choose, to really get connected to that amazing being and to start manifesting it in your life, start bringing it forth so people get to see it and experience it.
you will be doing yourself and the world a big favor by doing that. So I invite you to really check in.
Absolutely. Check in with yourself. Brilliant. Next week, there are actually two programs next week. On Wednesday evening, 7:30 p.m. UK time, Thoughtful Nuggets and Pearls, excuses. That's it. We're going to leave it at that. What excuses do you give to yourself? Not what excuses do you give to others? And then on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. UK time, because my guest is actually in Australia, I'm being joined by Amalia Grace, and she's going to be sharing a meditation with us, Gateway to Wholeness.
Nice.
All the information to both of those on the website, on the upcoming page, giftofhealingtv.com. Please feel free to go there. If you're watching us well after those dates, 14th of February and 18th of February 2018. Golly, we're 18 already.
Been that way for a couple of months now.
Yeah, I know. The 2000s have now reached voting age.
Yeah, right.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed the program, whether you're watching us live or whether you are watching the recording. And we look forward to you joining us, me next week, and David and myself again next month, 14th of February. 14th of February. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, David. Much appreciated. Love,
14th
peace.
of March.
14th of March. Yes.
7th of February.
Love, peace, and light to you all.
Bye-bye.
Namaste. Bye-bye.